Mr. Fountain, it's good to meet with you today. And we're going to be talking briefly here about, if we can talk briefly, because I know you are well informed in many of things. So why don't you start by telling me your first career and to where you are. And I know you're out of retirement to a new career. So your first career was?
You know, Miss Manners, that's a long story, but it's a good one. And thank you so much for having me today.
Okay.
Yes, my first career started back in 1981 when I joined the military and served 29 wonderful years in the Army. During that time frame, my capacity, I served in the medical field. I was an LPN the entire time. And the latter part of my career, I'm condensing everything. The latter part of my career, the last 4 years, was here in the wonderful city of Augusta, Georgia, Fort Gordon. And I served as the first sergeant for the Wounded Warrior Battalion and took care of warriors on as my retirement. So that was really good. So the whole time I've been taking care of soldiers in one capacity or another, but mostly in the medical field.
Well, something interesting about that. So you went from the warriors to taking care of the college students today, and steadily preparing for these warriors and educating them.
That story within itself is a whole nother dynamic. So how this came about to where I am now is.
So tell us where you are now.
Yeah, where I am now is I'm the campus director for the University of Phoenix at the Augusta campus in Augusta, Georgia. And how that came about was actually twofold. When I first retired from the military, or when I retired from the military in 2011, when I retired then, my mind was not made up to go back and do any kind of work. Based on the decisions, or I should say the covenant that I had with God, it was really, I'm going to do what you tell me to do.
Mm-hmm.
So my retirement came in 2011, and from that, I did not work the first 3 years after retiring. But the covenant that I made was to go back to school.
You mean you retired and didn't have a honey-do list?
I retired and did not have a honey-do list. I retired and actually had a just-do list, period, across the board. So part of that doing was for my family, for my church, and of course for myself and my other loved ones. So upon retirement, my first thing was to, well, that's really not the first thing, it's all kind of combined together. But the three things that I was to concentrate on, and like I said, the covenant that I made was go back to school, get into a good church home, and spend more time with my family and loved ones. Because being 29 years of Army, you just don't have a lot of time that you end up spending with your loved ones. So retired in February 2011, started school in March of 2011. So within a month, I actually had started school here at University of Phoenix, which is another story as it ties into it. So I started my bachelor's degree and finished it up, and I've got my bachelor's degree in healthcare administration. And from there, went on to go into my master's program and finished up my master's degree in business administration. So from 2011 until 2015, I concentrated on school.
Well, that's very good. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Manners have invited you all to be on the Manners team, and you accepted. And we're quite happy to have you because you wear a lot of hats and you have a lot of information because you have the experience and you've also had the exposure. So I want to stop and ask you now, why is it important to have good social skills for business and social business, for both social and business skills, etiquette skills?
Those skills are something that is not practiced or taught like it used to be. And as I'm talking to you, Mr. Manners, as I'm talking to you, Mildred, you know, there is an age gap in how things were done. And I think as you were growing up, etiquette was a key component of how we as people treated each other. Good manners, good upbringing, meant good respect for you in the community, meant good positions in jobs, goals, it meant a lot. We got away from that. As Americans overall, we all got away from that. And manners started going out the door, and it became acceptable to be where we are today. But if you think back over the course of history, manners has always been at the top of everyone's list, and those with good manners have always had better advantages. And what I mean by advantages is, If I go to a store to buy something, and let's just say I am short on money, but my manners are such a rapport that I do the thank yous, the pleases, and I don't come at you with indignancies, but I come with you with total respect. And oh, you know what? I left home today. I thought I had money in my pocket. Please forgive me. Is there any way we can work this out? You know what? Never mind. I'll just put it back. 9 times out of 10, a person may say, "No, it's okay. I will pay for the rest of what it is, depending upon how it is." Versus a person who of today that has not had that etiquette training or those manners may become told, "Well, what do you mean it costs this much? This is how much it cost. It didn't look like that when I." So that's not going to win you over in people's minds. So working with Mr. and Mrs. Manners team and being part of this training, I think it builds a foundation for our children of today as well as the adults of the day that have missed out on that. I think if we get back to the basics of who we are as humans, it will go a long way towards the other things that we want to accomplish. And this goes into talking to other dignitaries in other countries, talking to other people in other states, especially now with the way communication is. So if we transfer the basics of etiquette and manners into the technology that we have today, imagine the conversations you could have via text message without putting in a lot of your emojis, but you would actually have the pleases and thank yous. You would actually have an introduction in your text versus just getting right to the message. You'd actually say, "Good morning, good afternoon, how are you today?" Especially for someone that you hadn't talked to, but all of a sudden you send them a text and it's right to, here's an emoji or here's whatever it is I want to ask you. We miss out on those matters.
Well, that's so true. So much, so very true. And what we do here is we really strive strongly to bring confidence and ambitious, that you will complete your class and you'll be more ambitious and you'll be confident. And it will help you, because good manners, we say, help you get what you want.
Absolutely.
And it's been a test, and it still stands, that social graces have their place everywhere. Even though we're looking right now at some things from the White House to the lower house, it doesn't seem like it's important, but it's still very important. Moral fibers have decreased. So what we're trying to do is to turn around stinking thinking, acting, and looking, and where the best in you is demonstrated. And I'm going to speak on this from what I've observed. I see that in you. I see that in the military there was a certain training skill there, and that training skill is one that I want to implement even the more to the students, because I want them to know that there are great things to happen to young men and young ladies. If they can't afford college, they can always do something else and grow in it.
Yes.
You know, and that's what it sounds like that you're telling me. You've had a career of doing this, so I wanted you to be a part of this, because I know that you can bring out that which lacks. So I'm equipping people around me that can bring another side, another venue of things that I don't have, because I teach the kids how to walk. And one of the things that I use is a soldier. And so I won't have to go out looking for a soldier. You can automatically show them how they start out walking, because I want more male involvement. I taught 45 boys and others, but I had a class of 45 young men, and they knew from the beginning to the end what their roles were. And now they're successful in other careers. So I'm putting it up this time. I am interviewing and setting up people that I know that have what they're needing to help bring out the best in them, where your best is demonstrated. So I would have a soldier to come in and walk, and just walk and show me how he walks with confidence. So I've seen you, most of the time you're moving kind of fast, but that's still a part. You know what to do. And that's what it is about good manners, is knowing what to do. There is a time when you say that it's playtime, and then it's a serious time. What would be an example if you would say that?
Well, in any way that you carry yourself, and I just have to speak from experience, someone's always watching you.
Absolutely.
So you should always keep yourself in it comes from practicing, it comes from doing.
Yes.
So if you're always doing the right thing, you never have to worry about not doing the right thing or someone saying, I caught you doing X, Y, and Z when no one was looking, because you're always doing the right thing. I say that to say with manners, with having the right manners, it's a discipline. It's the way that you should carry yourself
all the time.
Mm-hmm. Not just when someone is watching, not just when someone is, or you're out in the public eye, but it should be all the time because it becomes part of you. Mm-hmm. And that spills over into everything else that you want to do, is because now people can see through when you're faking. Mm-hmm. You know, when you're putting on a show by saying the pleases and thank you and excuse me ma'am and excuse me sir and no sir and yes sir. They can see through that. But the real you comes through when it is built in you all the time that this is how you are. And so now it does not become a show. It becomes, oh, you know what? That person's got some values to themselves because this is who they are.
That's right.
All the time. Now,
yes.
Again, when we're with our friends and we're just, yes, that's a time that you can play because your friends are your friends. Same thing with your family is with your family. And you know that you have that respect amongst each other. You know what your manners are. But sometimes you just want to have fun. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. Mm-hmm. But if you don't have the etiquette built into you, if you haven't practiced it enough where it is just ingrained in how you are, then all of a sudden now you're playing more than you're actually being the person that you should be. Mm-hmm. And now that takes on its own identity. So now when you're in a position of leadership, or you're in a position to, let's just say you're having a dinner with someone and it is what people consider to be a fancy dinner, I have no idea what that means.
Formal.
Yes. So, and you find yourself being uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Why are you uncomfortable? Because you haven't practiced the manners that you should have already built inside of you. You haven't practiced them.
It's a
so
system.
Now you're uncomfortable. Yes. Mm-hmm. And so now you don't want to go to these formal affairs, and it's not because you don't like showing off and looking good. It's because you're uncomfortable in that environment. Mm-hmm. You'd rather be in an environment where you can wear some flip-flops and just some tennis shoes and a hat on your head. You're comfortable in that environment. Mm-hmm. And that's not the environment you want to be comfortable in. You should be comfortable in every environment that you find yourself.
Let me share something with you. This week, I taught a young lady. She came to me and she wanted her etiquette classes, and she finished the courses, and she had already graduated. She was in journalism, so she decided she wanted to go into the military. She's in the military, and so I got a letter from her thanking me for the training that she got. She said, today I'm eating with the generals and first sergeant. Mm-hmm. And she said, because of Mr. and Mrs. Manners, because I took that class, I am so confident that I can do what I need to do. And she said, they've already asked me to do something else. So when they take you to the table, you need to be prepared. We say bring something to the table. The first thing you can do is turn somebody off is coming to the table with bad manners.
Yes.
So it's important that the women have it, but it's even more important that the males have it too. So I thanked her for that, but I really like it when I see men. I have noticed a young man that was in the military. Mm-hmm. So when we got to talking about eating the zigzag and the continental way, mm-hmm. I was just watching him, and he was just talking and eating, wasn't paying attention. I stopped literally eating to watch him eat. I could tell by the way he handled his flatware that he'd lived in Italy or he had been well groomed somewhere formerly. And come to find out he was. That's what, because when you make that statement about you never know who's watching you, right. That is so true. And in the category that you're in today, what you're doing today, you are being watched.
Oh, all the time.
Media-wise as well.
Yes, and you have to be comfortable in all aspects of it because you, like you said, she didn't know. She get called to the table with the general and the first sergeant who knew that was going to happen. But with that, especially in the military, they saw something in her already that they felt comfortable with bringing her to the table. And that's another part of it. If you don't show yourself to one, be a good representative of whatever you're part of, be it a business, be it the military, be it your family. If you don't show yourself as being a good representative, then 9 times out of 10, people will not bring you to the table.
Amen. Thank you so much. That's really, really good. Now, we're going to have a part 2. I can tell we're going to have a part 2 interview on this. But until then, we will see you the next time on Professional Spotlight.
All right. Thank you. Good stuff. Yeah, hit that.